Thank you for viewing this lightning talk. Before I get started, I wanted to share the link to the GitHub site for this project, where you can learn more about it and download the modules that will be shown today. The files are free to download, though you will need to have a copy of Articulate Storyline if you want to edit them. The current versions were made with Storyline 360, but older versions can be found in the repository. During this talk, I'll talk about the background about the program these modules were used in, describe the development and implementation of the modules, explain the process used to determine how to share the modules, and then explore lessons learned and next steps. A little bit about Marquette. Marquette is a Catholic Jesuit university founded in 1881. If you are not familiar with the Jesuit order, they strive to be number one in all things, including humility. The campus is in beautiful downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and had a 2024 enrollment of 10,908 students, 7,233 of whom were undergraduates. The instruction efforts I'll talk about today took place as part of Marquette's Foundation in Rhetoric program. The collaboration between the Marquette University English Department and the libraries goes back at least to 1980. The nature of the collaboration has varied, but until recent years entailed mostly traditional one-shot instruction and scavenger hunts. FIR is taken by almost all incoming freshmen. There are usually around 46 sections of FIR, and it is by far the biggest instruction client for the library. It's also an opportunity for the library to connect with students and show them the value of the library and its resources. The course provides students their first exposure to academic research and academic writing and is taught mostly by graduate students and adjuncts. In 2013, this collaboration began a new phase with the incorporation of online information literacy modules developed by the libraries. Traditionally, the signature pedagogy for the Library Research Day has been a one-shot instruction session in which the librarian tries to fit all the information literacy knowledge into either a 50 to 75-minute class session. The one-shot sessions present challenges. You can't always cover everything students need to know, and it can be especially difficult if a librarian has an early session in the unit before students have a topic. Also, there is not a lot of librarian interaction before or after sessions. While students may learn in a one-shot where to find help, getting them to come in for additional help after such short exposure to libraries and their librarian is a challenge. Often librarians end up being a lot like the actors in Christopher Guest's film Waiting for Guffman, in which they anxiously await the arrival of Broadway producer Mort Guffman, who never arrives. In 2012, due to turnover in both the English department and the library, librarians and instructors took this opportunity to reconsider the library instruction format and implement new strategies to improve the teaching and learning of information literacy concepts in the FIR program. Some of the changes included the creation of a librarian role in the learning management system, which allowed the librarian the same ability as an instructor without the ability to assign or view grades. The librarian could post content, create discussion forums, and review student-submitted work and leave feedback. Previously, librarians could select sections, so there were times when an instructor would have a different librarian for each of their sections. By assigning librarians to instructors and not sections, librarians could build relationships with their instructors, which allowed, in most cases, more integration of the librarian into the course. We encourage librarians to seek an embedded librarian model when working with instructors. Lastly, we developed e-learning modules that could be incorporated into the learning management system to allow for flipped instruction or homework activities that would not interfere with class time. In developing the online tutorials, a team of librarians focused on threshold concepts, which Meyer and Land describe as core concepts that once understood transform perception of a given subject. So for example, the ability to narrow a research topic, to find appropriate sources for your topic, and the ability to correctly cite your sources are some of the threshold concepts for information literacy. The team also reviewed the literature on multimedia learning, and the development team relied heavily on Richard Meyer's work. Initially, the team had planned to develop a kitchen sink module that covered all of these topics, but after reviewing the literature, the team decided on developing smaller, focused lessons that offered practice opportunities, explanatory feedback, and gave the students some control over the experience. The development team utilized paper prototyping when developing drafts of the modules. Variation of usability testing, representative users perform realistic tasks by interacting with the paper version of the interface that is manipulated by a person playing computer. You can learn more about the concept from Carolyn Schneider's 2003 book, Paper Prototyping, The Fast and Easy Way to Design and Refine User Interfaces. Here is a photo from Schneider's book that provides an example of paper prototyping in action. shows a paper version of a phone with various screens also made with paper. As the user clicks buttons on the phone, the person playing the computer swaps out the screens to simulate the device's response. By utilizing paper prototyping, you can identify usability issues before developing a working prototype, saving you time and frustration. You are also more likely to embrace the suggested change, instead of argue against it if you only spent an hour or so on a paper prototype instead of a couple days developing a working prototype in the software. Using an iterative design process and paper prototyping, the development team spent the late spring and early summer of 2013 developing and testing the tutorials using Articulate Storyline. After a pilot in fall of 2013, the tutorials were offered to FAR instructors and librarians for use in fall 2014 instruction. To help librarians and instructors to better understand how to load the tutorials into the LMS and what information would be captured, the development team created a website which showed all of the tutorials, provided links to demo versions of them, as well as instructions on how to load the modules into the learning management system and access and assess the reports produced by the learning management system after students completed the tutorials. In 2020, we worked with our LMS administrator to have the modules preloaded into D2L, so instructors and librarians no longer needed to download the modules from the project website and import them into their course site. Instead, they could easily add the modules into their courses with only a couple clicks from inside their D2L course site. Since the modules were launched, 3 types of implementation have been utilized by instructors and librarians. First type, lone wolf, there's no library involvement. Instructors add modules and implement them on their own. This can be either done online or face-to-face. Second type is traditional, typical one-shot instruction session, either online or face-to-face, and the modules are used prior to instruction or during class visit. The last one, besties, is where multiple class visits, either online or face-to-face by the librarian, are done. Modules are integrated throughout the course, and librarian provides feedback on student work. Usually this happens due to a very close relationship being developed between the instructor and the librarian. This is a shameless plug for the book chapter my colleague Valerie Beach and I wrote about the IRB-approved research study we conducted in 2015 on the use of Academic Library Research 101 module. This module asked students to provide their search statement, 2 keywords, and a Boolean operator, information about an article they found in a library database relevant to their topic. Finally, students were asked to respond to 3 reflection questions about the database searching activity. A few findings from the study. There were 3 open-ended reflection questions. What did you do after entering your initial search statement? What challenges did you have? What did you learn about the academic research process? 2/3 of the respondents addressed concrete aspects of what they did. For example, I inputted my search statement in the database and downloaded a few articles. Only 29% of respondents wrote about the research process. 56% of respondents clearly recognized journal and magazine titles. 21% had difficulty recognizing publication titles. 90% chose the appropriate Boolean command. And recurring themes in the students' writing were importance of relevancy to their sources, specificity in keywords, and evaluating the information that they found in the database. To improve access to usage data of the modules, we worked with Marquette's business intelligence team to develop a dashboard restricted to designated library employees that contains a variety of filters to allow librarians to filter through the data, including by module type, term, subject, course, name, and date. Student responses to the module interactions can also be viewed via the dashboard. Various filters can be used to search through the data in the dashboard, including by SCORM activity, term, subject, course name, and date. The dashboard also includes interactive bar charts one can click on to drill deeper or to only see certain segments of the data. For example, just those that completed or did not complete a module in a particular course. Student responses to the module interactions can also be viewed via the dashboard. The dashboard makes it a lot easier to access and download than using the report feature in the Brightspace LMS, which can be rather clunky to use. After receiving positive feedback about the modules at various library conferences, the team investigated different platforms to share the modules, such as the LibGuide and Marquette's institutional repository. We decided on using GitHub as it is a platform designed for software sharing and has built-in ability to store current and previous versions of the modules, allows for documenting changes in the module version, and provides a way for the community to add their own updated modules. decided on using the GNU General Public License version 3 and appealing aspects of GPL version 3 to its reciprocal or viral nature. If GPL version 3 license code is incorporated into an application, the new application is infected. Its source code must also be made freely available unless the code is reserved for personal use or use only within an organization. Some lesson learned: friend raising is key to success. Without building rapport with instructors, modules and librarians are not utilized. Provide support for colleagues on best practices for integration and how the technical side of things work. Consider hosting open workshops on how to integrate modules into the course and pitch them to faculty. The development cycle never ends. Technology and software changes. Ensuring your OER stays current, you need to keep developing it. Since the modules were developed, they have undergone 2 major revisions. One to transition the modules from Flash to HTML5, and the most recent to improve the accessibility of the modules so they support current web accessibility standards. Documentation for those who will be utilizing the modules is vital. If you build it, they will come does not apply here. It doesn't matter how awesome the software is. If faculty and librarians can't easily use it and assess the student work, adoption will be a challenge. Next steps. From instructor feedback, there is a strong desire for a rubric to assess the modules, especially the open-ended feedback. It's a small development team, and we want to ensure the modules are accessible to all learners, including those with assistive technologies, so we continue to test and improve in this area. We would love to have more development partners who could expand on these modules and provide additional feedback to improve them. Thank you again for listening to this lightning talk. If anyone is interested in learning more or helping to continue module development, please reach out to me.